The following program may contain mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. To those of you tuning into this episode of the WOSHL podcast, thank you. For those who are watching for the first time, welcome. The views and opinions of this podcast are mine and mine alone. They may or may not reflect the same views and opinions of the entire Western Ontario Super Hockey League, all people considered. However, that being said, I declare that I will continue to work tirelessly hard to bring this podcast to you. I will continue to deliver important information, highlights from any games that are streamed, and relay that information with honesty, with enthusiasm, with professionalism, and with integrity. I will do all of these things with the same care and dedication to the WOSHL League as I have done in the time that I've been involved with this senior hockey circuit. If you have any questions or concerns about anything I have ever said on here or while doing play-by-play during games, please feel free to contact me. Your host, Andrew Rogers. All right. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Andrew Rogers here, the host of the WOSHL podcast show. Live we're not live on YouTube. And I'm just so used to saying live on Sportfy whenever I do play-by-play games. I apologize. It's super late. Okay, yeah. So like I say, it's a playoff preview show. It's the second playoff preview show. We did one last week for the wild card weekend. And now we're doing one for the official playoff, the race to the Super League Cup Championship 2024. We have our 8 seeds, and we are ready to go. Man, this journey has been absolutely incredible. I'm just going to take a minute here because I feel like I need to take a minute. At the end of the day, it's such an honor for me to be able to do this, to be able to do the podcast week after week, to be able to let my creative juices really flow on this. You know what I mean? Like everything that you guys see, the little ticker on the bottom, the little stuff on the sides, everything from a visual standpoint, me. When you guys watch games on Sportfy, when you stream the games that you guys watch in this WOSHL Hockey League, me. You're welcome. And I just want you guys to know that I work so hard and I put a lot of effort into making sure that from a visual standpoint, it looks good and it looks professional. I don't want it to look half-ass, so I don't do anything in this league half-ass. I hope you can appreciate that. But at the end of the day, guys, I just really enjoy it. I mean, it's so cool because it's like a world of possibilities. Like they're endless and it's great. And from a visual standpoint, yeah, I just want to be able to bring you guys the best that this league can offer and show it to the best of my ability. So I hope you guys can appreciate that. Yeah, so a stretch drive, 24 game season, and we had a couple playing games over the weekend, and we have our 8 spots, and man, oh man, the storylines in this league, I tell you, my goodness, it's fantastic stuff. We'll recap the 2 playing games, and then we have 509 Sports Online highlights from the final game this past Sunday. So let's get you caught up on that. But first, what we want to do real quick is last week I unveiled these, and I don't think I really touched on them much on my socials. I apologize. But for those of you who watch the podcast, you probably saw this and were like, that's interesting. So just to give you guys a quick recap, the WOSHL podcast is recognizing 3 categories: 1 most valuable player, 1 the best defenseman, and 1 for best goaltender. There are 5 nominees for each one, and I'll unveil them on the season-ending podcast. Okay, So for most valuable player, you have Kevin Hugh, Christian Polillo, Chris Donnelly, Jamie McQueen, and James McEwen for those 5 nominees. The next slide is for the defenseman. And again, we had some great defensive efforts in the WOSHL season this year, and definitely want to be able to recognize those as such. Defenseman of the Year nominees for the WOSHL Podcast Award: number 90, Austin Jennings of the Tilbury Bluebirds; Ryan Frazier of the Petrolia Squires; Mitch Randall of the Woodstock Lakers; Justin Murray of the Stratford Fighting Irish; and Bailey Freifogel of the Alvinston Killer Bees. Our final category is Goaltender of the Year for the WOSHL Podcast. Number 31, Ron Polidori. Number 30, Ben Edwards. Number 60, Zach Weir. Number 31, Evan DeBrouwer. And number 35, Matt Segrot. So all deserving nominees, and just want to give an opportunity to showcase my appreciation for those 3 categories in particular. And like I say, the awards will be, or the winners will be announced on the final podcast show of the season, on the season wrap. So, yeah, I don't know. Look forward to them. Look forward. Don't look forward to them. Whatever you guys want. It's just, again, like, I have so much appreciation for this league and the talent in it, and I try and display that as much as possible. Without further ado, this is a long episode. Before we get into the video highlights, so just give you kind of a breakdown of how this episode is going to work, just so you can skip ahead if you want. I understand. We're going to recap this past weekend, the play-in wildcard weekend. We're going to break down each series for you. We're also going to provide highlights, at least the highlights that we did have from the season series between for the 4 series, the season series between both teams. You also have highlights of those games. So just to give you a refresher course, I guess, if you could, if you yeah, refresher course. That's about the easiest way to put it. From there, so the way this, like I say, just give you an idea of how this is going to be structured. After we get back from our video highlights, we're going to look at the playoff bracket, and we'll break down each series for you by the numbers. What we'll also do is give you our first weekend in the WOSHL, which starts on Friday, March the 1st, and goes until Tuesday, March the 5th. Sorry, Tuesday, March the 5th. So it's a 3-day weekend that's spread over Friday, Saturday, Tuesday. So that's what we know for this episode anyways. That's the games we're going to be covering on next week's edition of the podcast. And then from there, we have 3 interviews. This week on the playoff preview show, we have Brian Hawley of the Stratford Fighting Irish, the color commentator. He does color commentating for me while I do play-by-play in Stratford. He's a fantastic guy, and this was a wonderful interview. We also have just want to double check here, make sure I got my facts right. Oh yeah, Trey Hamilton, play-by-play man of the Tilsonburg Thunder. He also joins us for an interview. And then we have to wrap, Dylan Denemy, the captain of the Tilbury Bluebirds, joining us on this week's edition of the WOSHL Podcast as a playoff preview part 2. And then we'll wrap the show after that. It's a super long episode, guys. So again, I'll understand completely if you want to skip ahead. Completely up to you. You decide. But we'll get this thing started with our recap of this past weekend in the WOSHL League. Like I say, 3 games took place. 2 of them, or they were all 3 for the play-in wildcard weekend. And let's get to those right now. So our first game from this past Friday saw the Elora Rocks defeating the Orangeville Blitz at the JEC, the Jefferson Elora Community Center in Elora. For the Elora Rocks, 6 different goal scorers: Spencer McCormick, Sean Pickering, Steve Dole, Blaze Bridges, Alex Utley, and Zach Cameron scoring for Elora. Scoring for Orangeville in their final game of the season, number 23, Daryl Thompson, and number 10, Nick Hodgson. Losing goaltender Ryan Mansell, stopping 36 of 42 in the loss. Colin Dunn, terrific in the net for Elora, stopping 29 of 31, and he gets the win in that play-in. So Elora advances, and they go to the final of the play-in tournament. They will host, and that is our next game. Our next result is a matchup from Delhi. The Delhi Flames defeating the Dunnville Arrows by a score of 4-2. For the Arrows in their final game of the season, number 13 Matt Rigrock and number 86 Taylor Schwab scoring the goals for the Arrows in the defeat. Jesse Schumann, the losing goaltender in the game for Dunnville, and had a terrific season, but it does come to an end here. For the Delhi Flames, they get goals from 4 different goal scorers. Number 18, Danny Adridge. Number 5, Josh Schlegers. Number 13, Colin DeLayet, credited with the game winner. And number 3, Chris Martin scores into the empty net. Benjamin Blacker, 37 of 39 in the win, was absolutely outstanding for the Flames in the victory to advance them to the finals of the of the 2024 Super League Cup wildcard play-in tournament. And the matchup was the Delhi Flames and the Elora Rocks. For 519 Sports Online, here are their highlights.
Let's head to Elora for a do-or-die matchup in WOSHL hockey. The Elora Rocks and the Delhi Flames meeting in the final of the wildcard play-in tournament, with only one team of the 4 participants making it into playoffs. The Rocks, tonight's higher seed, able to topple the Orangeville Blitz, looking to knock out Delhi and keep their season alive. The Flames coming off a big win over the Dunnville Arrows, looking to find the upset and earn a playoffs berth. Jumping to the action, the Rocks in the rush. It's a scramble out front. Alex Utley finds the puck, and Utley finds the opener. And it's 1-0 Rocks early in this one. The Flames look to get it back. Sebastian Guasadacini is sprung on the break. Colin Dunn makes a great stop. That was the start of a busy night for Dunn, and the Rocks would need him again here on a Flames 3-on-1. Christopher Martin keeps and he aims high. Colin Dunn turns away Martin. The first period in this one that Colin Dunn shown, here he is again. Joshua Slager's rebound is stopped by Dunn, and we would head to the second frame, 1-0 Elora. Into the second period now, and the Flames would break through. Chris Martin snapshot finds the back of the net, and we've got a tie game. The Rocks would be quick to answer, however. Zach Cameron makes no mistake along with a netminder, and it's 2-1 Elora. 2-1 Rocks, now the Flames laying on the pressure, and it's an open net for Sean Golubiowski, but he hits the crossbar, and it stays 2-1 Rocks. The Flames on the power play now, and they convert. Chris Martin's point shot finds the goal mesh. Chris Donnelly on the celly, but this one will be credited to the Delhi Giant, Chris Martin, and we're once again knotted, now at 2-2. Tied game now, and how about one more from the Delhi Giant? He snaps home his third of the period. It's a single period hat trick from Christopher Martin, and the Flames take a 3-2 lead. The Rocks trailing for the first time tonight, and they look to battle back. Luke Holscher cuts out front. Benjamin Blacker makes the first stop, but the puck's loose. Danny Attridge gets a leg in front of the shot, and the puck somehow stays out. The Rocks coming close, and they get another chance. Blaze Bridges drops it for Stephen Dahl, and Dahl roofs the equalizer. The Rocks and the Flames going blow for blow in Elora, and it's 3-3. Late in the second frame now, and here's the highlight of the night. It's the Elora captain Spencer McCormick with a backhand bullet. What a shot from Spencer McCormick. That's the go-ahead goal for Elora, and it's 4-3 heading to the final frame. Into the third now, the Rocks on the power play, and they add some insurance. Charlie Stevens tosses a pass through the middle. Mateo Condata snipes the top corner. And the Rocks are up by a pair. Elora running away with this one, and in the third, it's Zach Cameron with a backdoor one-timer extending the lead. He makes it 6-3, and the Rocks look to ride this one out. Late in the frame now, and this goal seals it. Jeff White fires it into the empty cage, and the Elora Rocks win the wildcard tournament. The Rocks move on to play the Stratford Fighting Irish in the first round of the playoffs. This one ending with a final score of 7-3 on Sunday night.
Yeah, guys. So we're gonna do this kind of rapid fire here. So just kind of try and keep up. First graphic we have for you is our confirmed playoff brackets. So this is the official WOSHL bracket for this year's edition of the Super League Cup playoffs. Again, Elora and the Stratford Fighting Irish going head to head, a matchup of 8 versus 1. You have the Alvinston Killer Bees at 5, Petrolia at 4, Woodstock at 6, Tilbury at 3, and you have the Strathroy Jets at 7, Tilsonburg at 2. A lot of rematches here, and we'll get into that in a minute. The first series that we're going to have a look at here is the Stratford Fighting Irish and the Elora Rocks. So Alora 10, 12, and 2 on the year, 108 in, 118 against. For the Stratford Fighting Irish, 16, 6, and 2, 120 in, 93 against. As you guys can see here, the first game of the series is in Alora this upcoming Friday, 8:30. And then the next two after that, games 2 and 3, both in Stratford on the 2nd and 9th, respectively. Game 4 will then take place in Alora on Sunday, March the 10th. The time is yet to be announced as of this recording. And then the possible, if necessary, Game 5 would take place Wednesday, March the 13th at 8:30 in Stratford. Stratford taking both matchups between the Rocks and the Irish this year. Stratford winning 5-4 in Alora and then 8-4 in the season finale in Stratford. Chad Heron leading the Rocks in scoring with 30 points. Graham Brulot leading Stratford in points with 30. But again, this matchup is going to be interesting in a lot of ways. The X factor, I believe, for the Allure Rocks is Colin Dunn if he can be good, and you have Zach Weir, who's really taken the nets this year and sports an 11-3-2 record. He should be one to watch in this series. We are set for hockey here in Stratford. The Stratford Fighting Irish and the Allura Rocks. Starting in goal for the visiting Allura Rocks, number 29, Liam Austin. Starting in goal for the Stratford Fighting Irish, number 1, Darren Smith. Welcome back in, Brian Hawley.
Thanks, Raji. A pleasure to be here as always with you. It's a pretty easy situation for Stratford today. You got a short bench on the other side and a team playing a nothing game. And, you need 2 points to put the pressure on Tillsonburg to get that number 1 seed and get home ice throughout the playoffs, and the benefit of playing the winner of the play-in game that are playing, the play-in tournament, that are playing next week. So let's drop the puck and get on this. Got some work to do yet. 1 or 2, that's fine, but they got some guys with some bumps and bruises, and so there's a couple guys not playing today for the Irish that are just trying to get healthy.
We also saw Matt Granger in the crowd here tonight, and glad to see he's all right, but he's obviously, I think, done for the year as we have a goal. The Irish have scored, and I believe this is Matt Fuller's goal, 1-0 Irish.
Yeah, beautiful look. I believe it was Cooper Leach in behind the net with a beautiful backhand pass to a pinching number 7, Matt Fuller, who made no mistake and put it up over the shoulder of Liam Austin.
Colin Dunn's been the absolute worst workhorse, 20 games played. So for Liam Austin, not a lot of exposure, and he gets beat again here. Justin Murray with the shot from the line, and just like that, it's 2-0 Irish.
Yeah, and they're unlucky for you, Raji. Every time it seems like you look at me, Stratford puts the puck in the net. So a very similar looking play to the first one, where the puck goes down low, it goes up high to a defenseman, and defenseman shoots high on the glove side. 2-0 now for Stratford, and other than 30 seconds of the last shift for Allura, we really haven't seen much life of them.
For a cross check. So face-off going to come back in the Stratford end here.
Yeah, Brody Smith a little too aggressive behind the net there. So we'll see. The one thing about Allura is that it's quality over quantity. They still have some good hockey players here today, and of course this fella taking the face-off, I believe, won the scoring race first year of the league, Alex Utley. If he wasn't, he was top 3 for sure.
Either him or Jake Brown. There's a shot, they score. That one deflecting in off the body of number 61, Filoso. And on the power play, Allura strikes it. It's 2-1. Just like that, they're back in it. All right. Cool. I'm hungry. And after that, scores! A shot from the line. It's deflected in. It hit a body. I'm not sure who, but we're tied at 2.
I'm pretty sure it was deflected in by number 12, Nicholas Beamer.
Yeah. Wow.
A really nice play of hand-eye coordination there, knocking the puck down and having it bounce in front of Smith. And just like that, it's 2-2, and Stratford gets a quick reminder that they're not playing grandmothers here. They're playing men, and you have to show up and play every shift. Otherwise, this is still the Western Ontario Super Hockey League, man. And
crazy.
At least until 11 skaters get tired, you got to keep moving and play a real game.
Allura operating like it's a power play, but yet it's 4-on-4. Centering, that's out of the reach.
Well, they got a tired Stratford team out there.
And it's taken away by Allura and dumped into the neutral zone. And that'll do it. Man, a lot of stuff going on out there, eh, Brian?
Yeah, for a game that means nothing, there's a lot of grumpy stuff going on. A tale of 2 periods, really. Stratford coming out fast and getting 2 early ones, and then Allura coming back hard and getting 2 to tie it up. And in the end, we're tied up, and Stratford will have to regroup. And you believe that the pace of the game is going to play out to Stratford's favor as the game wears on, but tired out a little bit. Get these 2 points they need to try and lock up first place and win the mighty Expedite Cup.
Oops. In comes Steve Dole on the breakaway. He scores! Steve Dole on the break. And the Allura Rocks, just like that,
3-2. They lead it.
Calvin Thompson caught late on a shift, was unable to make the change. They couldn't get that puck in deep. Steve Dole took off like a shot when they got possession. Blew right past Thompson, in on the net, scored 3-2. Elora. Shocker here in Stratford. For Stratford.
Wow. That was pretty wild. Matt Fuller now, 4-on-3. And he has it at the line. It's a 3-2 Elora lead. Fuller shoots wide on the blocker side. Murray in behind the net. He'll bring it to the boards. Murray tried to get Brulot. Now he still has it. Centering. So scores! Fuller! On the power play, 4-on-3. This game is tied at 3. Just like that.
That's a really good power play with 4 really talented hockey players. Elora's got to feel really upset about that. Playing such a good period thus far with about 7.5 minutes left in the second period. Left shot, so
right.
Yeah, I had to try and take that on the backhand, but again, the puck skipped right in front of him.
True. Stratford's going to pick up the puck, bring it across center, and dump it into the Elora zone. Hamilton plays it around to McCormick. Big 2 points on the line, at least as it pertains for Stratford. So this one's into the Elora zone, around the boards, and Michael Finley going for the hit and keeps it in the zone, but now it's out into the middle. Colin Martin with the steal. He'll bring it the other way and dump it in, go in after it. And it's off the boards, look out! Where is it? It's in! What a job by Colin Martin! And Stratford has answered in a big way here, and they've got the lead back. Woods and Robbins after him. He goes down on the back check. Now, here's Graham Brulot up the ice. Shoots, scores! Graham Brulot along the ice, Walker side. And just like that, it's a 2-goal Irish lead. It's 5-3.
Well, you know, if you say enough things out loud, eventually you get some right. And to my point about Stratford scoring in bunches, what a great lead pass by Cameron Stokes.
Before their game tonight. And then obviously Tilsonburg would need 2 points to take first.
Yeah, they would have to win. If Stratford only, oh boy, another bad line change.
Utley scores. Alex Utley on the stretch pass, on the breakaway, puts it past Darren Smith, and just like that, we're 5-4 here. And like I say, we still have a period of hockey to go with 2 big points on the line for Stratford for sure. Here it comes up the ice. Utley shoots, saved by Smith. Rebound, there for the taking, but not in on goal. Elora's going to have to press quickly, but time's going to run out. So after 40, we are tied at 5-4 Irish lead after 40. And again, big third period coming up here. Utley in there on the forecheck. Will be played to the other corner, opposite. McCormick trying to keep it in deep and can't. Now it's almost given away. Robertson going after Martin. Back to Leach. Oh, good pass across, but it was out of the reach of Stokes. Centering pass here to Curtis Nagara. Scores! Curtis Nagara! Number 88, puts it home. Top corner, blocker side. And just like that, 6-4, Stratford.
Talk about getting goals from unexpected sources. I mean, I'll have to check the stats. To be honest with you, yeah, that's his first of the year.
And
so
congratulations
to Curtis Nagara. It was his first Western Ontario Super Hockey League goal.
Elora for that game, and then Dunnville Delhi will be the next night in Delhi. So that'll be a fun weekend of hockey.
Absolutely, and traditionally, yes, Elora have 8:30 home games on Friday nights. So
right, and Delhi has 8 o'clock on Saturdays. There's a shot from Brulot. It's up in the air.
The only thing I might say is that they may need to play earlier to make sure they can get that last game in so that we have one finalist at the end.
Pass over to Robbins, who was in his skates, and in some more skates, and now it's out. Big hit on the boards on Calvin Thompson on Nick Beamer, who Calvin Thompson gave him a swipe after. And puck is in behind the net, stripped. Here's Cameron Stokes! Scores! I didn't know if he was going to score. Martin plays this one in deep, and Hamilton has it now. Up to the line, it's out. Murray's going to have to regroup, and he'll play it back to Fuller. 2:12 play here in period 3. And again, coming up on the WOSHL podcast as well, it's a playoff preview show where I'll break down the ins and outs, and that one off the end boards, another fortuitous bounce, and Justin Murray pauses it in the empty net, and it's 8-4.
And we are all happy that Raji is expanding his vocabulary.
Thanks for that. I owe it to you.
Another lucky bounce there. For a guy who gave up 8 goals, I feel bad for Austin, for Liam Austin, who has actually played a good game. And in fairness, I can't think of any of the 8 goals that you can lay on his feet.
No.
Either guys in alone or bad bounces, or
Yep.
a lot. That's at least 3 goals that have gone off the backboards to a defenseman.
You suck.
Now you got to earn it.
Awesome. No, you know what? You set me up perfectly for that, so I'll give one back. I couldn't do this without you, buddy. It's so much fun doing these games with you. It really is.
It's been my absolute pleasure to be here again for the 3rd straight year, and hopefully the Fighting Irish will renew my contract for next season.
Hey, if I got any say in it, they will. Well, with that, the regular season year 3 for the Irish is in the books. They finish with a record of 16, 6-2, and currently hold the number 1 spot in the WOSHL standings.
And put on a show for the 500 or so fans showed up for tonight's game.
Our next series is the number 7 Strathroy Jets and the number 2 Tillsonburg Thunder. The Jets come into this into the playoffs as the number 7 seed. They went 12-10-2, scored 91, allowed 85. For the Thunder, they went 16-6-2 for a second place finish, 132. That's tops in the league for goals for, goals against 94. In this series, Tillsonburg gets the first game on Friday at 7:30 at Tillsonburg Community Center. Game 2 then will go Saturday, March the 2nd at the Gemini Sportsplex in Strathroy. Game 3 would then return to Tillsonburg on Saturday, March the 9th, 7:30. Sunday, March 10th for Game 4, if necessary, in Strathroy, the Gemini Sportsplex, and then a Tuesday, March 12th game at 8:30 in Tillsonburg for Game 5, again, if necessary. Tillsonburg taking the 2 matchups, both by a goal, one of them in overtime. The first matchup being a 4-3 victory on home ice in overtime, the second being a 3-2 victory in Strathroy between those 2 teams. The X factor for the Jets, Evan DeBrouwer. He was the reason why the Jets allowed a league low 85 goals, a big part in that, and he will need to be an absolute stud to be able to get past this high pressure Thunder team. Brandon Kudo, the X factor of the Thunder, 35 points in the regular season. We'll see what he's got for an encore come playoff time. The goaltenders obviously will be an interesting thing for the Thunder as well. Matt Sagrot, Jesse Raymond. We'll see. Only time will tell between these 2 teams that are meeting for the 3rd time as well in the playoffs.
35, the big boss, Matt Sagrot, starting in net for the Strathroy Jets. Top goaltender in the league this year, as mentioned. Number 31, Evan DeBauer. Crowd's ready for hockey here in Tillsonburg. It's Teddy Bear toss night, and we are underway. Rebry spins it on the wall, Van Boekel. Strong pass on the stick of McQueen. McQueen for McGuffin. McGuffin in, shoots. Save DeBauer, rebound, Whalen shot. Off the netting. Good stick that time. That would have been Thomas Monroe on that stick. Jets do a good job of that. Very similar to Tilbury style, JD. Strong pass on the stick of McQueen. McQueen for McGuffin. McGuffin in, shoots. Save Bauer, rebound, Whalen shot. Off the netting. Good stick that time. That would have been Thomas Monroe on that stick. Jets do a good job of that. Very similar to Tilbury style, JD. They want to get sticks in the shooting lane and not allow the Thunder to get those open looks.
Yeah, that was a good defensive play to keep that one off.
That was a great shift.
It was labeled for the corner.
Wycheck from the point, tipped on goal, loose rebound, score! Spencer Hutchinson! Here come the Teddy Bears! They rain down on the ice. Spencer Hutchinson, Thunder lead, 1-0. Get those Bears flying, Tilsonburg. Makes a move, taps, works in, shoots low, rebound loose, Geldart, jamming, Thompson, big save to Bauer, and he covers with the blocker hand. And here we go, a little rust up in front, sticks up high.
Well, should continue to do so.
Here comes Thompson, he springs himself. Sheldon Thompson on the breakaway, in, shoots, score! Sheldon Thompson! Thunder lead, 2-0. What a play by Tomer to spring himself. And 2-0 at the 9:26 mark. Thunder strike back to back. And guess what, Strathroy? You've been thunderstruck. Thompson unassisted. Turnover here, look out. Here come the Jets. Ferreira across in the middle, shot, score! Yep. That was Cameron Amos, excuse me. Jets answer right back. Bad turnover by the Thunder in their own end. And Cameron Amos, a guy we said look out for, he makes the Thunder pay on a nice give and go with Carl Stapleton. And that'll silence this crowd quickly, JD.
You cannot take your foot off the gas.
A goal after one period, Thunder 15, Jets 11. We'll be back with second period action here on WOSHL Live, presented by Sporfy. Let's go Thunder. On this team, as I said before, it's a good problem to have. Rebery for Kudo. Kudo takes a shot. DeBrouwer makes the stop and holds on, no further play. As it looked like that was Monroe and Rebery kind of tangled up behind the play.
The worst little collision with Wycheck, and on his way to the bench, showed a little bit of frustration, shot an elbow out at Tony Geldart.
I did notice that, no call though. McGuffin in the slot, shot, save, rebound, score! Jamie McQueen backs it out of midair. Thunder lead 3-1. Just like that. 2-goal lead restored here in Tilsonburg. Mike Mandarelli, fans on the shot. Van Boekel plays it off the wall, right to Jamie McQueen, and here they come. Thunder with speed. McGuffin has it, drops it, hoping for McQueen. It's out of his reach, and I think he should have found Van Boekel on that play. He was open in the slot.
He was. Van Boekel seems to have a sixth sense about him.
He does all that time in the ECHL.
When you think he's out of the play, he's right back in it with a force.
And there's a great diving play by Van Boekel. Yeah. He's willing to lay the body on the line for the Thunder. You love to see that. Whalen still has it. I love the hunger of this team. McGuffin in the middle. Tipped by Rebery. Big stop. Whalen, shot, save, rebound. Again, Fitzmaurice just missed. And that Thunder power play unit did everything but score.
Fitzmaurice is down again. He's limping off.
Yeah, Fitzmaurice limping his way off the ice. Not a good sign. Look out here. Here they come. Shot on Segra. Gloved away. In the middle, they score. And that was the two circles we have on our roster. Kobe Ferreira made a nice play, and Cameron Amos banged it in. Yeah. And again, JD, this is where the 5-forward power play really does not benefit you. Fitzmaurice was injured. They had 4 forwards on the ice, a turnover. Yeah. The guys lost their coverage.
But it's not a bad thing to take them both right now. Keep things calm down a little bit going into the third period. If that wasn't called, the start of the third period might be a lot more testy than it will be now.
I agree. 3 seconds left in the period. Rebery takes a quick shot. Just went wide, and Abraham put a last-second bid on net, but no bueno. Here at Tilsonburg Memorial Arena, a.k.a. the Thunderdome. The score after 2 periods. Your Tilsonburg Thunder 3, the visiting Strathroy Jets 2. Shots on goal, 33 for your Thunder, 15 for the Jets. We'll be back with 4-on-4 action to start the third period. Once again, I'm Trey Hamilton, joined alongside JD. Hope you guys enjoy the second intermission. save DeBrouwer into the corner. Reminder to the fans at home that weren't sure, a 4-on-4 situation to start the period. Here's a breakaway. In alone on Sagrot. They score. Cameron Amos ties the game. Thunder got caught pinching. Strathroy strikes right away. And JD, we're back to a 0-0 score, even up. 3-3 at the 1932 mark. And again, we mentioned Ferreira and Amos. And Tillsonburg Thunder brand of hockey in this third period
Not in
whatsoever.
the third period, no.
Reverie spins. Hook there, no call. Thunder don't like it. Doesn't matter. Here come the Jets. Ferreira shoots it wide. Gets on his own rebound, and Sagrot calmly bats it away. Van Boekel. Backhand pass Thompson. Thompson flying through center ice. Thompson for Kudo. Kudo towards the net, saved DeBrouwer, and he holds on. No rebound. In the contest. High off the window, Mandarelli has it. Plays it across, and it looks like we're going to overtime here in Tillsonburg. Free hockey on a Saturday night, can't beat it. Winner of this game, they're going to climb 2 points up in the standings. Loser will gain a point. If Thompson's first time might hit the helmet. Thompson can't get the stick lift, but McQueen's there. McQueen down low for Thompson. We're in the last minute of this first overtime.
Thompson blew a tire going
Losing my
off the
voice.
net.
Thompson pokes
Still
it away.
in the Strathroy end, though.
He gets off. Kudo's on. Here comes McGuffin and Kudo. Kick free. Working in. Looking for the shot, but Kudo takes it away nicely. 40 seconds to go here in the first overtime. Chris McGuffin works up. He's got space. McGuffin in. Shoots off the goalpost. Forsland tied up. Held along the wall. The door's open. And they're blowing it dead finally. Monroe cuts in. Works around. McQueen picking him up nicely. Monroe across. Ferreira poked off his stick. Rebery. Mike Rebery. McQueen flying. Rebery for McQueen. Shot off the outside of the net. McQueen still has it.
Yes.
McQueen keeps it in the offensive zone. Spins around. McQueen. Shot! Jamie McQueen! Ends it in overtime! The Thunder win in
Our next series that we're going to look at is also a rematch from last year. The Tilbury Bluebirds in the number 3 spot, and you have the number 6 Woodstock Lakers. Woodstock, formerly known as the Plattsville Lakers, took on the Bluebirds in the first round last year and were swept out of the postseason. This year, this is a big matchup between the goaltenders. You have Ben Edwards, who is an absolute stud, going and you have Ryan Polidori on the other side. Edwards going 13-8, while Polidori went 14-5-1. And again, the goaltenders are going to play a big role in this. Woodstock 129 in, 127 against. For the Bluebirds, 120 in, 88 against. Woodstock 14-10, Tilbury at 15-8-1. Kevin Hughes smashing all kinds of records, finishes with 69 points. Christian Polillo, his line mate and teammate, 57, and Hunter Dubecki, who also plays on that line, 36. Over on the Tilbury side, you have Sammy Benga and Dylan Denemy both finishing with identical goals, assists, and points, 17, 29, 46, and are going to be relied heavily upon in this series for the Bluebirds.
Right here at the Southwood Arena. Woodstock in the red, Tilbury in the blue. Starting for Tilbury, Van Teeling, Denome, Sammy Banya, Tetro, High, and Swan Marison. For Woodstock, it's Polillo, Dubecki, Hu, Randell, and for the first time in Woodstock, Frank Nemeth. Then Ben Edwards in net. Frank Nemeth started with the Lakers last season. He was traded to Stratford. Was not retained by the Irish after their championship, and the Lakers have brought him back aboard. Players line up. Dubecki, Denome to start us off. And it's hockey in the dairy capital. It was the 1 versus 8. And Woodstock gave Tilbury a heck of a run for their money. They were swept, as you'd expect, in a 1-8 in a 10-team league, or a 9-team league, but took them to overtime a couple of times. Out front shot, and he scores! Kevin Hu! Puck squared out front, and the Lakers have a 1-goal lead. Preston Swan Marison's first start of the year. He's a great goaltender, an award winner in this league. Britt looked for some help as his team changes. He'll end up on the stick of Brad Crisco. Last year an All-Star, 2-time WOSHL champion as well. Crisco. The point, shot, save, rebound, scores! Rob Shedden. On the rebound. Corey Flemington getting that play going. Good struggle. 5-on-3 for 41 seconds. Bluebirds with a chance towards the net. No good. Banga resets. Gets the main back to Banga. They've got Denome open on the far side. Back to main. Now they'll get it to Denome. Denome waits. Gets it down low. Martin's penalty's about to end here. Shot, scores! 3 seconds left on the 5-on-3. Dylan Denome. Seemed like a matter of time. They were all over them. And it is, huge hit after the whistle on Kevin Hu. Direct contact to the head, and that's going to draw a crowd. Jason Montgomery hammered Hu in the head after the whistle, and no doubt that was going to draw a crowd. Sorry, John Montgomery. Kevin Hu, the league leader in goals, was targeted there by John Montgomery, hit him right in the head after the whistle. Kevin Hu had given up on the play. And Montgomery will likely face some supplemental discipline from the league when this video is sent out. Out front, Bluebirds with a chance. Shot stopped by Edwards. 10 seconds remaining here in the first period. Stayed in the zone, according to the linesman. Shot stopped by Edwards, deflected wide, and that'll bring it into the first period. Score after 1 period of play. Lakers 2, Bluebirds 1. We'll be right back here on Sporfy. Last year.
During the second period intermission, the closest puck to center ice, wins some prizes from your Woodstock Lakers.
Now sent into the neutral zone, it'll be waved off. Brody Martin going in after it. Swan Marison plays it. Swan Marison harassed by Martin, he turns it over. Chance there for Shedden, deflected and goes high and wide. Great chance there for the Lakers, goes wanting. Now a chance here, Horvat. Horvat on the backhand, out front. Swan Marison deflected, scores! Brad Crisco with his second of the year. And it's 3-1 Lakers. Pressuring was Monkhouse. Walking in with it, shot blocked. Hughes with it along the wall, turned over. Chang. Justin Chang, after taking that big hit, he's still in the game. Chang tries the wrap. Takes himself, shot, scores! Justin Chang! The Hong Kong Bulldog makes it 4-1 Lakers. Who'd have thunk it? Winkworth gets the puck lost in the linesman, and Winkworth is furious. Here come the Lakers the other way. Palillo to who? Kevin Hu, shot, scores! Kevin Hu! He is physically incapable of not scoring. Download to Banga. Banga towards the net. Denome got a stick on it but pushed it wide. Main back again towards the net, deflected by Butler. Wide, and that'll end the period. Another wild period. And Lakers fans are pinching themselves looking up at the scoreboard. They lead last year's regular season champs, the Tilbury Bluebirds. Banga to Main. Bluebirds need a quick one. They've got the talent to get it. Banga to Denome. Denome's shot deflected. Now Van Teeling going after it. Banga back to Van Teeling. Butler knocked down out front. Main to Denome. Denome had a knuckle puck to deal with. Denome back to Main. Main back to Denome. Denome's got some space. He'll take the shot and scores. Dylan Denome. Sammy Banga or Mitch Van Teeling might have got a stick on it. And it's 5-2. And the Bluebirds sorely needed that. Right now. Very unlike him. Massey gets it back to who? Who? To Dubecki. Dubecki shakes off Lillo, will take it himself. He's got some room. Dubecki shot, scores! Hunter Dubecki beats Anthony. And the score is now 6-2. Shot again, stopped by Edwards. Edwards robs Holmes. Sent into the neutral zone. Wybanga going in after it. And Wybanga takes a shot. And Wybanga sucker punches Mitch Britton. And Mitch Britton drops the gloves, and we got a fight going. Britton hammering away on Wybanga. Wybanga bit off a lot more than he could chew. Another big left from Mitch Britton. Not sure what happened there. Wybanga behind the play. Ripped off Britton's helmet. Who to Becky? Back to who? A little bit too cute with it. Who again? Back to DeBecky. DeBecky walking in. Pass over, shot, scores! Christian Polillo on the power play. And it's a touchdown, 7-2. Space. Can't take it all the way though. Ruth picks it off. Ruth gives it over. Now Kevin Hu on a breakaway. Kevin Hu, shot, scores! Kevin Hu! And the Lakers are running the Bluebirds out of the building. Now Monkhouse, 15 seconds left. Gets over to Van Sleeden. Now Schmidt. Schmidt towards the net. Deflected towards the net. And that's stopped. 5 seconds left. Winkworth is going to send it into the zone, let time run out. And the Woodstock Lakers have their first win in Woodstock. 8-2 the final score against the visiting Tilbury Bluebirds. What an upset, but it was never close.
Our final series that we're going to take a look at here is the Battle of Lambton County between the Alvinston Killer Bees and the Petrolia Squires. Alvinston finishing in fifth, 14-8-2, 128 in, 99 against. For the Petrolia Squires, they went 15-9, 131 in, 95 against. The goaltenders for Alvinston, Nolan DeConing and Mateo Lalama, either one of them is a 1A, 1B type goalie, and they will need to be big and strong against this Petrolia Squires team, who's got a lot of depth scoring. Sean Parker and Brandon Campbell will share the netting duties in Petrolia, and again, we'll see what happens in those games, who starts and who doesn't. Parker 7-5, Brandon Campbell 5-3. James McEwen, an unbelievable year for the Killer Bees, 48 points. Carson Perry, 32. Caden Faulkner, 29. That's the Bees' top line. Over in Petrolia, it was Brandon Biggers and Ryan Trottier that really carried the Petrolia Squires offense this year. Biggers finishing with 39, Trottier with 36. The first game of the series Friday at 8:30 in Petrolia at the Greenwood Rec Center, followed up by Game 2, which will take place Tuesday, March the 5th at 8:30 in Alvinston. Friday, March the 8th, they'll go back to Game 3 in Petrolia, 8:30. Game 4 will then take place Saturday, March the 9th at 6:30 in Alvinston. Game 5, if necessary, Wednesday, March the 13th, 8:30 in Petrolia. Alvinston taking both matchups in the regular season by scores of 5-2 and 3-1. But as we all know, playoffs a whole different animal, and anything can happen once the playoffs begin.
Carrera from Fargo, time to goal 1958. On goal in the first period, shots on goal for Petrolia 6 and for Alvinston 13. Ladies and gentlemen, overdue Bugs Light beer made by Stone Picker Brewing Company, being served now in the high bar.
You can't penalty shot. That right there. Just for the penalty shot.
And on the infraction to number 10, Steve Farlow of Petrolia, penalty shot has been awarded to the Killer Bees. That penalty shot to be taken by number 22, Caden Faulkner.
Zoom in, maybe.
All right, and our final graphic that we're going to show you before we head to our interviews here is our schedule. As you guys can see, 3 games open up our schedule on Friday, March the 1st. Playoffs getting underway with the Jets and the Thunder, game 1 at 7:30 in Tillsonburg. Then the Bees at the Squires. That goes at the Greenwood Rec Center, 8:30 for game number 1. And then you have the Irish at the Rocks at the JEC for game number 1, a 8:30 start time in Elora. Saturday we have 3 more games that will get kicked off with our the Rocks at Stratford to take on the Irish. 3:45 is the noted start time there for game number 2, and then you have the Woodstock Lakers. Oh my God, at the Tilbury Bluebirds at 7:30 start time for game 1 of that series, and then you have the Thunder and the Jets playing game 2 in Strathroy, 7:30 start time on Saturday. Our weekend, if you will, gets finished up on Tuesday, March the 5th, with game number 2 between the Petrolia Squires and Alvinston Killer Bees. This one will be in Alvinston at the BAI CC Complex at 8:30 between the Squires and the Bees, game number 2 of their best of 5 series. And back to me. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so like I said, guys, a lot of interesting stuff going on, and it's the best time of year. Really, it really is. It's a wonderful time, and the play should ratchet up, and it should be so fun to be able to watch these 2 teams duke it out in all across the 4 series. I really don't know how to predict them. I'm just looking forward to being a part of it. So without further ado, we got 3 interviews coming up here for you. We're going to open it up with Brian Hawley, the color commentator for Stratford. And then we'll go to Trey Hamilton, the play-by-play man for Tillsonburg. And then we'll follow it up with captain of the Tilbury Bluebirds, Dylan Denemy. He stops in. And then on the other side of that, we'll wrap the show. So enjoy our interviews. All right, folks, here on the WOSHL podcast, Andrew Rogers with you as always. And it's the first time that I've ever had the pleasure of saying this, but I finally, and you know what? No fault of his. It's all on me. I take it on the chin. Brian Hawley, the color commentator of the Stratford Fighting Irish and my partner in crime for that wonderful opportunity, is joining us on the WOSHL podcast for this playoff preview show. Great to see you, Brian. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Well, thanks for having me, man. And yeah, long time coming. I'm really happy to be here. I apologize to all about the background. We got some renovation going on in the basement here, so
dude,
bear with me.
You don't think anyone else isn't renovating?
That's all right. So yeah,
They
I'm just
don't
glad
care.
to be here and excited to get the playoffs started. To be honest
Well,
with you.
that's just it. I think everybody's more worried about what you have to say than what's going on behind you. So let's just dive right into it. The Stratford Fighting Irish. We've been doing this is our third year doing these games, and it's been an absolute blast of a ride of a journey with you. And I do love coming to those games and doing those games with you. And you know that because I've expressed that sentiment many and many a times. This year for the Irish was a special year, kind of an up and down year, but all in all, a first place finish and that mighty Expedite trophy. Sum up the season in your opinion.
Well, first of all, thanks and right back at you. It's been a blast, not just this year, but in years past. And you've been doing this a long time, and this was a new gig for me. And you kind of held my hand in the first year, and then we just kind of grew. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. The year, well, I mean, I try and sum it up, but it's really difficult because it's been quite a year for Stratford. It ended up the way that maybe some people thought it would end up with them being in first place, but it took a heater. I think they won their last 4 or 5 games, and of course Tilsonburg lost their last 5 games, and that's the only reason they won that mighty Expedite Cup. There seemed to be a little bit of a championship hangover with the Irish. Yeah. I know some of the players pretty well. I remember talking to Maverick Petrie, and they were going through a little bit of a rough spot, and his thing was, you know what, he sounded like Aaron Rodgers with his famous soundbite to the Green Bay Packers fans: "We're fine, we're good." And it was shortly after he said that they started getting healthier, they started tightening it up defensively, and then they got on this heater. And once they started to need to win games, that's when we started getting their best hockey out of them. So when you look at the team as a whole, first of all, you've got the same goalies in net as you had last year in Weir and Smith, 1 and 1A, just like we spoke about last year. They pretty much alternated games all the way through the playoffs last year. This year, though, a little bit different in that Zach Weir has kind of taken the reins maybe as the 1 versus the 1A.
Big time took the net.
So he's played really well. The big change for this team, I think, is on defense. And as good as last year's team was, I think as a whole, at least on paper, I think this team's better. Yeah. And the reason for that is that, and that's no slight to the defense core that played for them last year. I'm thinking of players like Mitchell Casey, a very good player, went on to play with the Laurier Golden Hawks in U Sports this year. Mm-hmm. But they picked up Calvin Thompson, they picked up Matt Henderson, and they picked up Justin Murray.
Right.
And so when you add those guys to Tierney and Fuller and the big fella.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Riley Coombe back there too.
Riley Coombe, sorry, thank you for that. And that is as big and deep a defense core as there is in this league. Mm-hmm. And when they're healthy and they're moving, they are just, and that, I'm not even talking about Granger, who is injured. I'm not sure what his status is, whether he's going to be healthy enough to play or not. Hard and then say. Up front, they are loaded again as usual. They've got 4 lines. They've got 2 deadly lines up front where they've got Robbins, who I think is the most valuable player in the league based on the context of valuable to his team. There's such a difference with Stratford between Robbins not in the lineup and not in the lineup. And of course he plays with Stokes and Graham Brulotte, mm-hmm. a really good second line with Buckholtz and Leach. And Brody Smith, I think, is probably going to play. We're not sure about the status of Howardchuk. If Howardchuk plays, it's an embarrassment of riches. And 2 really good checking lines. So overall, I think they're ready to go and ready to roll. I agree. I think they're a better team than Elora. Having said that, though, I was on a different podcast called The Armchair Chirpers a couple of weeks ago, and I said to everybody in that one, the same thing I'll say now: do not sleep on the Elora Rocks. They're a dangerous team. They've got a lot of talent up front. They're going to have to score a few goals to win this series. I don't think they're going to win a 3-2 hockey game. I think they're going to have to win probably 6-5, but don't sleep on these guys. And they still got done in net. They're a very dangerous team to play. It's a tough matchup for Stratford, but I believe if Stratford plays tight, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to see this matchup. So just for those who who were born under a rock and don't know what's going on in this league. It's the third consecutive year that the Irish and the Rocks will face each other in the playoffs. Back-to-back sweeps by either team. Allura 2 years ago in 2022 swept the Irish, went on to win the WOSHL Super League Cup championship. Next year, Stratford sweeps the Allura Rocks, number 2 seed, out of the playoffs in the semifinals, go on to win the Super League Cup. So this matchup is a grudge match. This has juiciness written all over it because there's a lot of storylines, a lot of history, a lot of the same guys are still there. I think Allura, like I said before, Allura is the hungrier team because they want to wipe away the embarrassment that was being swept last year. And they don't want anyone out there to think that they're on the down spiral, if you will. But I think they have more to play for, but I think the pressure is more on the Irish to deliver in this first round best of 5.
Well, I think that's a fair assessment, Raji. You're right, though. These are two teams that just flat don't like each other. They have history. They had knocked each other out of the playoffs. They have had some really wild games. I could think of one specifically up in Allura last season where it got a little bit nasty. And, these are, not to mention when my favorite word, when we ratchet up that intensity of the playoffs, boy, I can't wait. This is going to be a great series. And even though I think Stratford will be okay, it's not like Stratford's going to go in there and win 8-3 or 9-2 or something like that. Like I said, Allura is very dangerous, and when they are very motivated, and they showed in that last game of the regular season, they showed up with 11 skaters, and Stratford had a really good first period, but then Allura came out in the second, and boom, just like that, it was 2-2.
Right.
And that was with 11 skaters. Now imagine what they can do with a full team. So, like I said, it's just going to be a really, really good series. And of course, Allura is hot coming off of 2 really good hockey games played on the weekend, right?
So that's what I wanted to talk about next, this play-in tournament that is the first time we've seen it in WOSHL. And to be honest, I think it was quite the success as we saw some really good hockey games. I mean, Allura dominated Orangeville on Friday night on home ice, a victory they desperately wanted to win. Obviously, they don't want to lose that ability, to in a play-in for 8th, when you're the 8th seed, there's an expectation there, I think. And then obviously for Delhi with Dunville team, Delhi was sputtering into that play-in, and for them to hold court on home ice, that was a desperate win that they needed. And then obviously I think they just ran out of gas when it came down to it, got into penalty trouble against Allura on Sunday night. And not only that, but it was a road matchup for them. I mean, you could say what you want, but the thing is, they traveled really well to that game. So I don't think low on bodies was an excuse in that one either. I just think it came down to penalty trouble, and I think it was experience winning over in Allura's case. What I want to ask you then about the play-in, like, what did you think of it? And do you think it's a good idea moving forward?
I love it. I mean, the league is evolving, so we just don't know how many teams are going to be in the league next year, whether this is going to be necessary or not. But I absolutely love it. In fact, I'd like to take it next level, make it a little more fan friendly. Let's face it, the big game was played Sunday night at 8:30 start at Allura against a team that didn't even know they were playing. So I don't know how many fans they had that had the opportunity to go up to Allura and watch the game. So that's the only thing I would change. I'd like to see it a little more fan friendly, but I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great for the league. And, whatever the hierarchy of the league wants to do to take it next level, I think it's going to be great. If it's actually a thing next year,
right?
Maybe we have 12 teams, maybe we have 14, who knows,
I guess
so,
it would depend on that, wouldn't it?
Exactly. But if a play-in, tournament or a wild card weekend or whatever you want to jazz it up to be, if it's doable, let's do it. I love it. Anything that builds the league up is great.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think it gives everybody an opportunity. And, again, in a case like Orangeville, where you switch management mid-season and you have this kind of season you did, and then to switch it around, I mean, to still have a shot at the 8th spot is just a miraculous thing, but ultimately couldn't get it done against the Allura Rocks on Friday night. So let's talk about this series because it's going to be a banger. And it gets underway on Friday in Allura for game 1, and then 2 and 3 in Stratford on the 2nd and the 9th, both at 3:45. And then you have game 4 that'll take place Sunday night. No time has been announced, but we feel like it is going to be on Sunday night, the 10th. And then the final, if it gets to 5, obviously 4 and 5, both if necessary. I believe 5 is Wednesday the 13th, and I think it is an 8:30 start if necessary again. I want to ask you about X factors. If you had a chance to think about this, if you had to pick one on either side, I know I've got one on my mind, but I'll give you the floor first.
For me, it's Colin Dunn.
Okay.
We all know how good he can be and has been in this league in the past. He was an absolute rock the year they won, no pun intended. The year they won the championship, he was so good, so solid. He is an excellent skater, really mobile, really athletic, and plays his angles really well. And so if he gets hot, we all know what's going to happen in hockey in the playoffs at any level. If you get a hot goalie, you are the most dangerous team around. And so I think Dunn is really the key for Elora, because I still stick to my point that I feel like Elora is going to have to score 5 or 6 goals to win hockey games in this series. And so if Dunn is on top of his game and limits Stratford to 2, 3, 4 goals in a game, then Elora has a very serious chance to pull this upset.
And for Stratford?
For Stratford, for me, I think it goes with their defense, and I don't want to kind of bail on you, but collectively the Stratford D is the one that's going to do it, and probably the one who hasn't really. We've seen flashes of absolute brilliance, but he hasn't really fully let go. I think Justin Murray. I think Justin Murray has a chance to be the best player on the ice anytime he's out there.
Right.
And that is, and again, not a slight to Hendersons and the Fullers and the Thompsons of the world, but I think Justin Murray does it in both ends. He's a big kid. He's tough. I call him a kid because I'm old. He's tough. He's a great skater. He is really instinctive on the ice. He knows when to join the rush and when to let it go. I think he's a real, that's a guy that Stratford, even though they won the championship last year, this is a guy that can take them to another level. I'm not sure there's another D in the league that can match that.
No, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, so for me, X factors, I love the Colin Dunn pick because really goaltending is going to probably decide the series. If it does come down to it, who is the better goaltender, who doesn't let in the soft ones when the game's on the line. I think that goes a long way. Obviously, I think the absence of Chad Herron this weekend was kind of an eye opener for me for Elora. Their leading scorer, obviously leading scorers back-to-back years. I think if he's on his game, then they're a different team. But for the overall X factor, I think a lot of heat has to be on Charlie Stevens. This guy can make or break a team in their success. I understand he's a little bit older now and maybe slowing down a little bit, but he's still a former NHLer. And, you put that in with a Theo Peckham, if Theo shows up and he plays and makes a big difference, that could be dangerous too. There's so many unknowns with this Elora Rocks team to predict. It's almost impossible to call it. But like I say, I think Chad Herron's availability and what he makes an impact on, I think he's a big X factor for them. For Stratford, Graham Brulot led the team in scoring. Ray Robbins right there as well. I know you love Cameron Stokes. He's a huge asset, no question about it. I think Ben Howarchuk is going to, and whether or not he can play, because we haven't seen him in a little while. I mean, obviously we'd hope to, if he's in, he's going to make a difference, and he's going to allow or make it difficult on Elora to defend. To be honest, from Stratford's side, yeah, if I have to pick one, man, you really put me on the spot. You know what? I'm gonna go with Cooper Leach. I think the guy's got a big target on him because he's big and he's dangerous and he's got a lot of skill. Guys are gonna own in on that. I think if he can take over this series, I think he could be a big difference maker. He's got the ability to do so, and I think he could really make a difference for the Irish to be victorious in this series. Final question I'll ask you, since we talked about X Factors for the series, we talked about the play-in, we talked about the Irish season. The other matchups in the WOSHL first round are absolute bangers too. I don't want to separate from that. I don't want to take anything away from them. Tilsonburg Strathroy for the third straight year. Woodstock and Tilbury, it's a rematch from last season. And then you have the Battle of Lambton County between the Alveston Killer Bees and the Petrolia Squires, which I think is going to be the most phenomenal series in the first round. What are your opinions of the other three series, and how do you see them going?
Well, I'm like you. I'm really looking forward to the Petrolia Alvinston series. Alvinston, I'm so happy for them. They were that other team the first couple of years of existence. They made incredible strides this year. Kudos to their management team and their coaching staff and the players, and they have good fan support there. They had good fan support when they weren't winning. They're getting it again this year. And so, I mean, Petrolia it just drips with tradition, the Petrolia Squires. I mean, I remember as a boy going on Sunday afternoons to watch them play the Stratford Perths, all the way back to the 70s. I just love everything. It's the tradition against the new guys on the block. I think Petrolia will be okay. I don't know if Alvinston's ready to step up and play at this level yet. We will see. I'm not saying they can't. I just, because they haven't really been exposed to a deep playoff run yet. I'm interested to see how they're going to go there. The Tilbury Woodstock series, I really like Tilbury. I think Tilbury is quiet. Watch out for Tilbury in the playoffs. Yeah. We have to remember back to last year, they were all set to go to the final and play Stratford when calamity happened and they lost 4 straight to Tilsonburg.
They don't want to be reminded of that.
Well, and they won't maybe appreciate me reminding them, but yeah. I think that is motivation. And they picked up the Russian kid, Shagrintsov. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name.
You got it.
They picked him up in mid-season. They still have all the horses there. They still have Polidori in net. Watch out. I mean, I think they're going to take Woodstock. The problem with Woodstock is they're a one-line hockey club. And if you shut down that one line, I don't see Woodstock having much success. Having said that, if you don't shut down that one line, they can torch you for 7.
They can. Yep.
That's the other side of that coin. And Tilsonburg, boy, I tell you, Tilsonburg has got to be the most motivated senior hockey club in the country right now, because I've said it before in our broadcast, 2 years in a row, they had to watch the other team carry the cup around in their own rink. They are motivated. Don't pay any attention to the last time Tilsonburg played Stratford on the Friday a couple of weeks ago. They didn't play that well. Stratford came out house on fire. Tilsonburg is going to go deep into the playoffs, and it wouldn't surprise me if they won the league this year, just because if they can stay healthy, because we know they weren't healthy last year, it's going to be such a fantastic run. So I don't see an upset. From the standings, I don't see an upset in the first round, and that makes the second round Stratford, Petrolia, Tilsonburg, and Tilbury. And go ahead and pick winners out of those. Man alive, that's going to be so cool. Not a slight on the teams that I'm not picking to win these, but there's so much depth in the Western Ontario Super Hockey League that the playoffs, I don't see how the playoffs can be anything other than a fantastic couple of months, man. I am ready. Go.
Next 7 weeks. Let's go. It's going to be so much fun. We've been talking with Brian Hawley. He's the color commentator for the Stratford Fighting Irish and man of many hats. And we appreciate you, buddy, so much. And thank you very much. And we'll, if we don't see you on Friday, we'll definitely see you on Saturday.
It's my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to it. And, thanks for all you do for the league, Roger. You're great for the league, man. You have a great day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thunder Hour. No, I'm just joking. I had to do it, man. No, we're not on Thunder Hour. Okay. That's the one you host. Yeah. But now the seats are changed and the screens have flipped and everything else. But
everything flipped over.
That's right. That's right. And a nice suede couch there, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not bad. Actually appreciate the suede.
You should have seen us trying to move this thing up the stairs. That was the fun part, man.
Was it anything like that Friends episode?
Oh, it was very close. Yeah.
Pivot.
Yep. I was stand it up. We'll get it in somehow. It was living in an upstairs unit is fun. So
I brought reinforcements. You brought Chandler. The next best enforcement would have been Monica.
Yep, that was me with Leaf. I brought Leaf over to help with
Oh
the
my
couch, and he
God.
weighs 120 pounds. So
Shout out to Leaf, right?
yeah, shout out Leaf Dietrich. That
There
was
you
a
go.
fun time. He remembers.
Too
So
funny, man. Too funny. Trey Hamilton,
Mhm.
Tilsonburg Thunder play-by-play guy with us here on the WOSHL Podcast Playoff Preview Show. Trey, absolutely pleasure to have you back, pal, and great to see you once again.
It's great to be here, Raji. It's great to be with you again. Obviously, we got to call that last game of the season together, that barn burner, the 3-2 overtime game.
And what a game.
That was awesome. So we've been, touch base in the last couple weeks here, and it's I know it's not Christmas, but it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's playoff hockey.
Man,
So
7 weeks, the next 7 weeks, man, they're just going to be high intensity hockey, and it's the best kind, really.
for sure.
We saw a little bit of that in the play-in tournament there. Laura coming out victorious, and
Yeah.
they get a date with Stratford, the defending champs. No easy task.
No.
First thing I want to ask you, just if you could, what were your thoughts on the Thunder season as a whole? What was your perspective on them?
I was really proud of the boys. You know what? There were situations this year, circumstances like a lot of injuries it happens in senior hockey, right? Guys have jobs. I always say that on my show that, just a reminder, this is a working man's league. I know you and Brian talk about it too. So you know what, for what we had to deal with in that regard, I was very proud of the boys. They jumped out to that 16-2-1 start. And the last month or so wasn't as pretty, but I felt like as the end of the season, inched closer, I could feel the intensity starting to build back up for them. And,
Right.
Obviously it's not an A+ grade because an A+ grade for me is a 24-0 season, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, they aren't the
Uh,
Patriots, right?
No, exactly. Well, and the Patriots eventually lost in the championship. We don't want to do that again
No,
this year.
not for a third straight year, Trey.
No
We
kidding.
don't need to talk about that, okay?
For sure. Let's leave that one out of here. But
Yeah.
but no, in all honesty, I'm still proud of the boys. I thought that, for the adversity that we faced, and with the guys that were out of the lineup, the guys that are going to be returning to the lineup, I think this is going to be a battle tested team that's ready to go. And you know what? I know we got the second seed. I know Stratford. Congratulations to Jamie and the guys for climbing back up and basically pulling it out of our hands. But
Yeah.
you know what? I think that those are the top two teams in this league. I think Tilsonburg's going to go into this first round and really put their foot down and show you that they mean business. So
Yeah, well, and that's a perfect lead in. Thanks for doing that. It's like you've done this before.
Yeah, a few times.
Let's talk about the Tilsonburg Thunder and the Strathroy Jets, a third consecutive time in the postseason. And man, I don't know if you could agree with this or not, but I think this has the makings of being the best one we've seen so far.
Oh, for sure. We talked about it on our show, my dad and I there, on our last episode, our playoff preview, actually. We mentioned that it seems like every time these two teams play, it's a 1-goal game. They play 1-goal hockey. They know each other very well. They're both inaugural teams of this league. They understand each other's game plans and they match very well. There's some teams that don't match up. Like we saw it with Orangeville and Woodstock when we were calling that game. It was 11-10 final because those two teams are very run and gun, not a lot of defense. Goaltending didn't show up that night. Tilsonburg and Strathroy, you can always count on a low scoring game. You can always count on good, hard, physical hockey. You're going to have great battles in the corners. You're going to have power plays. You're going to mean everything. The Thunder and the Jets have two of the better penalty kills in the league. This is going to be a very entertaining series. I don't think it's quite going to touch the Petrolia Alvinston, but I do think it's going to be right up there with some of the top series because they just play each other so tight.
Right. And we'll talk about the other series in a minute here, but like I say, I want to focus on the Thunder and the Jets for the third consecutive time.
Yeah.
One thing that I always like to look at is X factors. And, I'm sure you've had plenty of time to think about this, but if you could you pick one X factor for each team that you think will be the deciding factor, whether or not they win the series?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think it's an easy choice for Strathroy. I'll get them out of the way first. I think it's Evan DeBrouwer. I think it's hands down, right? You ask anybody that follows this league, Evan DeBrouwer put up the numbers he did. I remember I was actually going through my Snapchat earlier. I saw a memory from back in October or November, early November, and I actually sent a video to Leaf and I screen recorded his stats through his career because we didn't know who he was. We didn't know anything about him. And it was like 6 starts into the season and he had like a .930 save percentage. And I said to him, Leaf, this guy might be a problem. And it's ironic because here we are all these months later, third year in a row, we're meeting in the first round. Evan DeBrouwer, we got to see him in Tilsonburg and in Strathroy, our 2 games we played this year. The game in Tilsonburg, he almost stole that game. Tilsonburg outshot the Jets 52 to, I believe it was 28 or 29. And that game ended up 4-3 in overtime. So Evan made some stellar stops that night. And that was our first introduction to Evan DeBrouwer. And I got to say, I had a chat with him after the game. He was coming down through the tunnel on his way up to his car. And I just said, heck of a goaltender, man. He just humble guy, quiet guy.
Yeah.
But he means business, right? He's got that big 4-liter water bottle he sits on the back of the neck because he does a lot. He works a lot. He's a hard worker. He's an X factor for Strathroy and for Tilsonburg. I'm gonna have to go. Everybody's gonna say, "Oh, you're gonna say Jamie McQueen or the Queener." Queener, we all know Queener means business. Jamie McQueen he's gonna be a 50-point guy in this league till he retires. But I think the guy whose jersey is right up over here.
Yeah, I was thinking you were going that direction.
Brandon Kudo, Coots and Thompson. I know I only could pick one, but those two are like joint at the hip. Sheldon Thompson and Brandon Kudo came over for those who don't know, from the Tweed Oil Kings of the Eastern Ontario Super Hockey League this year. Brandon had his struggles in the middle of the season. I think it was tough to adjust because personally, just from watching both leagues, and it's no slag on the EOSHL, I feel the defense and the goaltending is much more elite down here in the Western Ontario Super Hockey League. So it takes adjustments, right?
Right.
But the last few games of the season, Brandon Kudo and Sheldon Thompson and Spencer Hutchison played on the line together. Hard forecheck, hard nose hockey, getting down in the corners, winning puck battles, and they were dangerous almost every time they were on the ice. You got to see it in that overtime. It was crazy. It was wild. So for me, I'd go with Evan DeBrouwer, Strathroy, and for Tilsonburg, Brandon Kudo, as I like to say on the broadcast, Coots, there it is.
Coots, there it is. That's awesome. No, man, yeah, your signature lines are nothing short of magical. So I definitely appreciate it, and it's very inspiring. It's tough to come up with them in the cuffs, so I can appreciate it even more. The fact that you're able to pick them out of thin air like that, some of them, and maybe you rehearse them in the mirror. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know what you
every
do,
day,
man. I don't
hiding
know
behind this Philadelphia Flyers blanket is a mirror, so I stand in there every day and I just Coots, there it is. But no, you got that. You're always great with the glove saving and beauty call. That's one of my favorite calls from you last year when Raymond made that big stop against Chigritsev.
It's huge.
It was just the energy you put into that call. It was awesome. So don't sell yourself short for that.
And so from that, then let's go with the play-by-play angle here, because obviously you have a lot of inspiration, right? I mean, no question about it. For me, I mean, growing up a huge Leafs fan, I was surrounded by Hockey Night in Canada greats.
Yeah.
Guys like Bob Cole, Harry Neal, Jim Houston.
The greats.
The greats, right? It's just unbelievable stuff. And playoff time, it was a whole nother beast. And some of the greatest Bob Cole calls, like you could still watch them on YouTube, and I still get chills just talking about it, right? So for me, I take away a lot of that, and obviously as a Leafs fan, and Joe Bowen. I mean, come on. I mean, right now, I'm never gonna do that because I can't pull that off. No. I just know it. If I do it, it's gonna be disrespectful.
That's a Bowen exclusive. I hear you.
Right. I mean, that's one of those things. Is as an announcer or a commentator, you have to understand that what you're doing is living on with the tradition of who's done it before you and who's doing it currently. You don't want to ever steal anything. You know what I mean? But definitely inspirations, no question about it. But yeah, Joe Bowen. I mean, again, when I was a kid, I used to listen to Leaf games all the time on the radio as a kid, and I still do because, well, they still have them on the radio. Anyways, I was just curious about who your bigger inspirations were.
Yeah. So any fans of the Thunder that have watched this year who, weren't able to get to the games or watch the replays when they go home know for me, one of my big inspirations, and I'm not a Buffalo Sabres fan, but I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan, unfortunately. So, but for me, one of my biggest inspirations growing up on the commentary side of things, the list of names you named are huge for me as well. Bob Cole, Jim Houston, guys like that. But for me, when I was a young kid, I'd have my little radio with the alarm clock beside my bed, and I had school in the morning. I'd throw on the radio before I go to bed 8:30, 9 o'clock, and one of the only stations we got. I lived out along the lake down here in Elgin County, and we got the Buffalo radio station very clear. Perfect. And listening to Rick Jeanneret for all those years.
What a beauty, right?
He was, I mean, rest in peace to Rick. And that's part of the reason why, for those who know, when the Thunder win in overtime this season, I have gone to the RJ Classic of the Thunder win in overtime, because I remember listening to those
phenomenal call
growing up. And it's not, like I said, I'm not trying to steal it from him, but with him passing away, huge inspiration to me. And also being a Flyers fan, Tim Saunders is the Philadelphia Flyers radio announcer. I get some of my inspiration from him. I hear, because again, growing up, listening to the games on the radio, going on NHL.com and streaming them, I hear myself sometimes, like the key phrases like shot through the goal mouth, things like that you don't really hear. And then you plug it in when you listen to the replay. Yeah, guys, like you said, Houston. I really miss him. I remember playing the EA Sports NHL video games growing up where Houston was
Exactly.
on it,
Right.
and it was felt like you were there, like
It
playing these
was
games.
great.
You hear Jim Houston and Craig Simpson out there, and
That's right. Craig
I don't,
Simpson. Yeah.
I don't think Chris Cuthbert's quite there, but he's still, an enjoyable
Chris
guy
Cuthbert is legendary in his own right. I just
for
don't think
sure.
it's hockey
I
legendary.
tie him more into CFL. Yeah,
Right. CFL on TSN is a big
yep,
one. When I
yep,
was younger too, I know he did Blue Jays broadcasts as
yep.
well.
Blue Jays as well. Yeah.
On I think he did them on CBC and TSN.
CBC,
But
I do remember that when I was
yeah,
really young.
like
Yep.
man, that's when it was in the heyday for me. Like his
Yeah.
big, that's when I started to become a big Blue Jays fan. It was when I was a
Yep.
kid and watching those games on CBC because they
Yep.
don't do that anymore, obviously. But
No.
but yeah, like I understand completely what you're saying. Like it's just
For sure.
it's so cool. Like when you get to do something like this. Like I don't know about you, but I love the fact that we're able to do what we do
Oh, it's
and
amazing,
like
man.
have the opportunity to do it. Like something that people only dream about and don't really get an opportunity to do, and yet here we are getting to do this incredible job. It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's so cool. I mean, the ins and outs of hockey and getting to describe the game for the listeners at home is so much fun because if you listen to a WOSHL game, if you live stream it on Sportfy and there's not a commentator, it's a whole different feel. I know for myself, I remember my girlfriend and I were driving down. I can't remember where we were headed to Sarnia, Petrolia, around that area. And I believe we might have been headed to the Alvinston Tilsonburg game, and you were calling the Stratford game that afternoon against was it Alora? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Alora.
Yep. And I remember I put a headphone in, she put a headphone in because I'm driving, can't really watch it, but just to be able to have the opportunity, right, to be able to listen to it. I got a feel for the game. You and Brian do a great job up there. And again, it's we do this part of tying the game together. And I know that not everybody's our biggest fans, but most people that I talk to, they really appreciate it because what we're doing is helping take this league to that next level, right? And to be able to do it for a team that I'm local to, being a huge Tilsonburg Thunder supporter and discovering this, hockey league that, I didn't even know my town had a team up until a couple of years ago. And now getting to be such a big part of it it's incredible. And like you said, best job in the world. So.
Right. And that's the thing too, is at the end of the day, I think the coolest thing is when somebody comes up to you afterwards and says like, hey, you did a really good job, or you killed it, or that was pretty impressive how you knew all their names. I get that a lot.
Yeah, same here.
They're like, how do you know everybody's names? It's like, I've done this before. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, it's not like it's
I look at the roster
go around, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like, but it's funny though. I don't know if you can relate to this, which you probably can, but I mean, obviously when you do one team so many times, it's easy. You don't even have to look at their roster.
It's easy, 100% the Thunder.
But what I find is that generally like 5 minutes or 10 minutes into the game and you've said everybody's name a few times, you don't even need your roster sheet anymore.
Yeah, it's true. It's 100% true because what I'll do when I get there, I'm not sure about yourself, but when I show up, I immediately already have written out statistics. So I know I'll circle on my little roster sheet the players I know that are going to be the players to watch.
Right.
And then I also separate offense and defense. So I know okay, this guy's gonna be a defenseman, so that I can just plug the brain into, okay, this guy's here, and then I didn't even need to know who James McEwen was. I knew it was James McEwen that game because he was electric. He was all over the place, right? That's the visiting team. I'd only ever seen them once before that in Alvinston. Mentioning that game, like I said, we had traveled to. But again, like you were helping me out with a few names, but by the end of the game, we were both on it.
Right.
I knew everybody's name, right? And that's. It's a cool part of the job. But yeah, I could probably name the Thunder roster from lowest number to highest number just sitting here right now because
I don't need you to do that, but I
no,
understand.
that's okay for the viewers at home. I'll spare you the trouble. Okay.
Yeah, we'll save that for a Thunder broadcast. No, I'm sure.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, but yeah, so let's shift gears. Let's talk about the other series because we can't discredit them because they're going to be so good.
Oh yeah.
I think the biggest slight in the first round is that they're 5 games and not 7. I mean, let's so I want to start with Woodstock Tilbury. That's a matchup of a rematch from last year. Obviously Woodstock, former Plattsville. It's a matchup of 3 versus 6. I think this one for me could really kind of be unpredictable. If Hugh lights the lamp and he just goes off, then I think Tilbury might have a tough time. But if Tilbury shuts him down, it could be a rout. I don't know what do you think of that series?
Yeah, again, just a quick shout out, like you said, 3 of the 4 series this year in the first round are rematches. I know Stratford and Elora was a second round matchup last year, but it's to have those matchups reignited this year is gonna be awesome. But for this series, it's going to be interesting. Again, like you said, I noticed that Tilbury's taking the first two games at home and given game 3 and 4 to Woodstock.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be tough, man, because taking that road trip, Tilbury's the furthest for mostly every team in this league. And I understand that now it's playoffs. So these guys are geared up. These guys are ready to go. But if you have one or two guys that can't make it just because of the road trip, it's going to not only impact you, but also, the Tilbury fans, they pack that place. They get loud. They're proud of their Bluebirds.
Impressive.
They are a standout organization. Like I said, I've listed the top 4 organizations in my opinion, not even just talent wise, just how the operations are run. And I put Tilbury in that top 4 for the last couple of years because they show it, right?
They do a really good job.
But I could really see it swinging either way for the first game. But I see, like you said, Dad and I talked about it as well on our show. Christian Palillo is a heck of a hockey player.
He's great.
You could name a few more guys like Volpe and these guys. Miller, they brought in from Orangeville. Great hockey players. I love Brad Crisco, great hockey player.
Yeah.
Brody Martin, heart and soul guy.
I had him on the podcast. He's a fantastic guy.
I know. I saw that. That was great. And we'll do a little shout out too. I saw his article, his news article that he got published in Guelph. Brody Martin, great job. It's Martin Millinery Co. .ca is his website, by the way. So he makes custom hats. It's awesome. So while we're on the topic of March, but again, a heart and soul guy. Kevin, who, in my opinion, the most skilled hockey player in this league, just individual skill wise.
Yep.
If they can do so Stratford to me set the recipe of how to beat these guys. Their last two contests.
Yeah.
We saw in Stratford, Woodstock went there and Kevin who lit the lamp. The first 2 times they met, it was an overtime game, and I know Palillo got the game winner, so smack me for that one. But the second game,
Hugh scored
wild.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. And the last 2 games, complete opposite. Who did nothing, right?
Right.
And Tilbury can copy that same recipe. I think they're going to win this series in 4. That's my prediction for
that.
Yeah,
shut Hugh down, and Tilbury's got it handily. I think the goalies is going to be interesting. Edwards has had a great year. Polidori, the class of the goaltenders, and that's going to be an unbelievable goalie matchup there. So let's go to the next series. Is a battle of Lambton County, Alvinston Killer Bees, Petrolia Squire. It's going to be talk about a banger of a series.
Oh yeah.
You have the number 4 seed Petrolia, 15-9 in their first WOSHL season with 50 years of experience. You have the Alvinston Killer Bees, who are way more improved than last year and have just been trending upwards all season. And they had an absolute great year. And I think they're going to give Petrolia a great run. Obviously the buildings are going to be packed and the arena's electric. And, I really don't know what to say in this series that is going to happen, because it is so, like, it literally to me feels like a coin flip.
Because it is, honestly. The youth of Alvinston to me shows at times an experience, but because we saw some games they lost this year that they could have won, but some mistakes. Petrolia is a veteran group. They've been together for years. Like we said, this organization's going 50 years back, right? I think this comes down personally, like we said, about both series we've talked about already, the goaltending. Can Sean Parker / Brandon Campbell, who are a very good duo, out-duel potentially, we don't know yet, DeConing and Lalama.
Right.
Because I think Petrolia can score.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that Petrolia, I've watched them. They're not the fastest team. They're not the highest skilled team, but what they are is a team. They play team hockey, crisp passing, breakouts on point, power play setup.
And
I don't know if Alvinston's ready for that. Oh yeah, and it seems like that. Honestly, I saw them go. I made a road trip down to Tilbury to watch the game that they played back a couple months ago, and it was 4-3 final. It was back and forth, but every time Tilbury would inch back into the game, the Squires. Nice breakout leads to a 2-on-1. And again, that's that thing where does the youth of Alvinston compromise their chances in this series? And does the crowd in both buildings play as big of a factor as I think it's going to?
Oh, man. It's going to be awesome.
They're going to be sellouts in both buildings. But I personally, Raji, I think this is the only series that I can confidently say is going to go 5 games.
I think so, too.
And at that point, you flip a coin. I have no idea.
Petrolia with the home ice, I mean, maybe you give him a slight edge, but really, it's a coin flip. I think Alvinston is good. I mean, Petroli 131 in, 95 against. Alvinson
Yeah.
128 and 99. Like, I mean, come on.
So
You
close.
you couldn't have asked for a better series in a first round best of 5.
It's going to be an absolute barn burner.
Give me your thoughts real quick before we let you go about Stratford Elora. Obviously, again, 3rd straight year for them, back-to-back sweeps. Elora is going to be hungry, no question, to erase any sort of misunderstood labels that they've been receiving this year. Stratford has a ton of pressure on them this year as defending champs.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing, is that being defending champions, Elora knows what that feels like. They were just in that position last year. They took care of business in the first round. The second round, Stratford choked them out. It was incredible to see. I remember how many shorthanded goals Stratford scored that series. Stratford got themselves in some penalty trouble.
Yeah.
They helped themselves out right away in that series. Game 4, I believe they had 3 or 4. I'd have to fact check myself, but I remember it was 3 or 4 shorthanded goals in game 4. They swept them. So you have this scenario where you have now the defending champion, #1 team in the league, that has absolutely one of the most talented rosters in this league. They're physical. They play a system. I've talked about it before on my show, that I know Jamie runs a system, and these guys are bought in.
Right.
It's a recipe for success. Now, Elora, veteran. They got these guys like Theo Peckham, big hard hitters. Charlie Stevens is still an X factor at his age, in his ripe early 40s.
Yep.
Alex Utley has made some huge improvements this year. He's been great.
He's been good.
It's so weird because again, just Zach Weir's a great goaltender. So is Colin Dunn. Can we say it's going to come down to the goaltenders? I don't really think so, because these two teams can score on the power play. They can defend really well, and they hate each other. So it could go either way. But I personally, as an analyst, as a guy who follows this league so closely, I have to give the edge to Stratford. And I think that honestly, we were chatting about it beforehand. If Stratford takes game 1 in Elora, it's going to be a sweep, in my opinion.
Right.
If Elora is able to win game 1, go back to Stratford, who knows at that point? This is another series where we could see it go 5. But if Jamie and his boys are able to just put their foot down, execute their system, and a big thing for me, don't buy into the antics of Elora in terms of the way that they play physically. Because they're going to try to get
do that.
These guys, right? Some of these guys, like the Nagara brothers and stuff, they're willing to go in and mix it up, but you don't want to get into stupid penalties. I've seen Cooper Leach take bad penalties this year, because sometimes these guys pull into this mindset of you, and it's not just Stratford; it's every team that plays a lot. They get into this trap game, right? So stay away from that. Put your foot on their throats. I think Stratford's a better team in this matchup, but if it goes 5 again, who knows?
Who knows? Right. No, I agree with you. I mean, it could come down to, like, obviously most of the game 5s are either there's one on Tuesday and 3 others are on Wednesdays. So, I mean, midweek games are so unpredictable. But like I think no shortage of excitement in the first round, no question. And again, that Friday game in Elora, the fact that it gets the Stratford into Elora first and then in Stratford for back-to-back home games. I mean, who knows what to say is going to come out of that. I think, the big key obviously for every team in the playoffs though is discipline. You got to stay out of the box. Sure. That the officiating is going to tighten up big time come playoff time. So how you play within the rules that are being called and how it's being called in the game to make adjustments, I think is going to determine who are the better teams.
It's crucial, right? Power play. Look at even the NHL, how teams win in the playoffs is very similar. The teams with the very good power plays that execute win majority of series and games, because the thing is that your 5-on-5 hockey becomes so much more intense, right? And the goaltending gets tighter, the defense gets tighter. Now, if earlier on in the middle of the regular season in a random game in November, a puck gets chipped by a defenseman, maybe he's not giving 110% to get there. But in the playoffs, he's giving 110%. You're going to get the body laid on you, right? So stay disciplined. That's my advice to every Western Ontario Super Hockey League team in the postseason. Stay disciplined. And if you get a power play, execute, because one of the issues the Thunder had last year in our 4-0 demise sweep against Stratford in the championship was our inability to execute on the power play, and it came back to bite us, right? So I'm hoping the Thunder can turn that around just from my Thunder angle of it, and we can get a good power play established in the playoffs. I'm confident in this team, and I'm really looking forward to this first round, Raji. In my opinion, this is the best year of WOSHL hockey, and from here, it's only going to get better, but let's focus on this year. This is going to be a dandy of a first round.
It's going to be fun. Strap it in. Like I say, keep your foot on the gas and don't let off. If you have a chance to bury somebody, bury them. and don't give them any sort of hope. Hope is the worst that you can give a team in this league.
100%. 100%.
Trey, when's the next Thunder Hour?
So Thunder Hour, we made an announcement on our last episode. With my working hours and also with the playoffs busy, we got some tournaments coming up in Tillsonburg I'll be volunteering with. So what we're going to be doing throughout the postseason, and again, I didn't want to provide a distraction to anybody. I know that a lot of the guys appreciate our show, but at the same time, I want to just go forward with how we're going to do it. So we're going to do a brief post-game recap at the end of each game. So it's going to be 20, 30 minutes. And then at the end of our next big hour-long episode for Thunder Hour is going to be at the end of each series. So
okay, good.
Thunder Strathroy, this is going to end at the very latest next Tuesday, Tuesday after, sorry, excuse me.
Yep.
And that will be when the series is all wrapped up. I'm going to wait for the entire round league wide to finish up. And then we're going to do a long episode called our round recap. And as I said, even if the Thunder do get eliminated at any point, we're still going to go forward with talking about the league because this league is worth talking about. And I love doing this. So there's no shying away from it.
Terrific. Hey, well, you can't end an interview on a better note. We've been speaking with play-by-play man for the Tillsonburg Thunder, Trey Hamilton, and absolute beauty, class of this league, a great ambassador, and we appreciate you stopping in for this playoff preview episode of the WOSHL podcast. Thanks, dude.
Thanks a lot for having me, Raji. You take care, and we'll be in touch.
There we go. All right. Here on the WOSHL podcast, we are in conversation. It's the playoff preview show. Playoffs start this upcoming Friday, and very pleased to be joined by a friend of the show, great ambassador of this league. Thrilled to have him, and just an absolute gem. Dylan Denemy, captain of the Tilbury Bluebirds, everyone. How's it going, Dylan?
It's good, man. It's best time of year.
Absolutely. You know what? I got to give a fitting intro to a guy like yourself. I mean, last year you came out just really announcing yourself in this league, putting up totals that we hadn't seen and really are unworldly in senior hockey. 50 points, and then Kevin Hugh comes along this year and absolutely obliterates it. But we'll get into all that in a minute. But I just wanted to ask you quickly. So this season for you guys, obviously your first year you went 19-4-1, I think, and just an unbelievable first place finish. This year you guys go 15-8-1. Can you compare the two? Like, was there much of a difference from your perspective?
I just think we had a rough start. We didn't have many bodies coming out of the summer camp and kind of into the first 6 or 7 games of the season because we struggled off the hop for sure. I just think I wouldn't even call it like a regression as like some would. I'd say the league's better this year. Like the parity in the league it's really nice to see actually. Like you don't get that a lot, and to have a spacing between first and 8 be like under 8 points or like something like that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I just think if we had the bodies that we have now at the beginning of the year, I think it'd be a little bit of different story in the standings aspect. But at the end of the day, you've got to show up and play right. It's senior hockey. There's no excuses.
No, absolutely. No, you're right. You did have some fresh faces come in though and make quite an impact. I know Josh Main played really well for you guys, I thought. If you look on the roster sheet, I mean, even like Austin Jennings was unreal. He put up some unworldly numbers. Cole Butler, I thought, was really nice for you guys. Obviously you had a mid-season addition in bringing back Slava Shagrintsev, which is a dark horse for, making a big difference come playoff time, obviously, because you guys have tremendous chemistry. And then obviously Sammy Benga, who you finished tied in points with, and goals and assists. So that's an interesting thing for me. When you add in new bodies, it can really it has the potential to mess with some chemistry, but yet it seemed like they worked out really well for you guys.
Yeah, like the guys that I personally think that we're a lot better than last year, a lot deeper, especially when we have everybody there, which we do the rest of the way, which is phenomenal. Just like up front, we added guys like Maine, Bentley, Holmes, obviously Banga. Don't even got to mention that guy. You know
Right.
how good he.
The WOSHL virtual MVP, All-Star MVP as well.
I've known Sammy since we were kids. He's a year older than me. He's always played a year up in AAA. We played together in junior in LaSalle for 2 years. The guy's just like, people can knock what they want to knock about the guy, like skating, whatever. Like, he always hears. He's heard it his whole life. But you give that guy the puck, and he's a magician. Like, he's stick handle in a phone booth. The patience he has, the hockey IQ. It's some of the best I've seen. And then you got like just our workhorse of guys like Butler. Like Butler coming in this year, he's been huge, man. Like guys like him and Bedard, but Bedard playing again full time, because I know he took last year off. Like I did. He was doing some coaching, but he had CBSA stuff as well.
Right.
And then we also just added Tim Taggart. Those guys are like, you need that on a team to win. They're energy guys. They play their role. They do everything you ask of them. And that's I feel like what we were missing last year. And then I don't even really have to talk about our back end. Same guys like Ryan Cravatt and Jennings has been incredible this year.
Like, honestly, I can't believe the fact that he put up 32 in only 13 games played. That's remarkable to me.
He's a freak, man. He can skate forever. He never gets tired. And then you got guys that we've already had, like McKibben is still there, McIntyre, and we added Maya and Macomb and Johnny Montgomery and Roman Isakov and Mitch High. Those guys are like, we have six that it's interchangeable. Like you can have a guy in the lineup at any time. Our D are so good. The energy that they bring and the physicality that I feel like we were missing last year it feels good. Like we have a good feeling going into the playoffs.
Well, and let's talk about playoffs, because it's actually, like I say, it's a wild scenario if you look from top to bottom in terms of the matchups. Stratford Elora, third time in a row. Strathroy Tilsonburg, third time in a row. Avonston and Petrolia battle Lambton County. That's going to be unbelievable, best of 5. And then you have you guys and the Woodstock Lakers, formerly Plattsville, and it's a rematch from last year as well. I find this really interesting, and maybe you can attest to it. Is your team hungry right now when it comes to playoff time because of what happened last year? Is that still linger?
Yeah.
It has to, right?
Yeah. So like going back to talking about these new guys that we've had that weren't on the team last year, it's insane to see. Like they're hungry. They're just as hungry as the guys that were there last year. Like,
right.
Obviously myself, Winkworth, Van Teeling, like the 3 leaders up front from last year, bringing back Slava, you should see this guy right now. It looks like he's been on the Rocky regime.
That's funny.
Since he's been gone. And Nick Tatro, obviously he's a leader. He's a big time leader this year too. Like we've had a lot of conversations about how different the feel is around the team, and all these new guys. It's good to see. Like they're just as hungry as we are.
And obviously have there been discussions as well to try not to look forward necessarily, because I mean, Woodstock's a strange animal, and I'll definitely say that confidently, because honestly, I really don't know what you're going to get from them on any given night. If you're able to shut down that top line, your chances for victory strongly improve. But if that top line torches you, it's very difficult to compete with that. I guess, what are your thoughts about, Tilbury, Woodstock, I guess, the rematch, if you will?
Like, obviously last year, Woodstock was a totally different team. Yeah, they still had Hugh and a couple of guys, but I think Jeff has done a fantastic job this year.
Yeah.
With the move and bringing guys in. Like I said, it was anybody's night on any game this year in the regular season. And I think Woodstock, I don't think we're taking anything for granted this year. And we're not looking ahead. We are looking Saturday night in Tilbury, game 1 against Woodstock. That's as far as we're looking. We know who they got. and his two line mates there. It's those obviously they put up the numbers for a reason, and it's going to be a challenge for sure. So we'll see how it goes on. I just think the one factor that we have is Polidori. The guy is even better than he was last.
Well, and that was going to be my next point is Polidori versus Edwards. Like Ben Edwards, no slouch. He finished second in wins. He had a tremendous year for Woodstock. Obviously with the offensive firepower both teams have, I mean, we could come down to goaltending because playoffs, they tighten up defensively. You know that.
Yep, 100%. It's crazy to even say and think. Polidori's better than he was last year. Like he wants it bad. He feels like he got slighted with the university thing, and I don't blame him whatsoever.
Right.
So he's on a mission this year, and it's a little revenge tour for him, and I love to see it because he's coming to the rink every day. He's working really hard, and it's showing. Like we just look at him in the net, and we're just like, we have a chance no matter what the situation is with him in there.
Right. No, and I think obviously the other part of this too is the home ice. I think that's going to be a key part in this series, for you guys, because obviously making that long drive to Tilbury, no easy task. And as well as I do that teams don't travel very well in this league. When it comes down to it, I mean, if you look across the league, right? You said it before, a lot of parity in terms of like the closeness of the teams and how evenly matched up they are. Do you have some thoughts about the other series? Like, I know you're pretty invested in this league and you know what's going on.
Honestly, obviously Stratford turned it on the second half of the season here. Tilsonburg, you know what you're getting.
Right.
And then you have Alvinston and Petrolia. When Alora's really turned it on, I've watched their last couple games from where they were in the mid-season kind of there, like kind of slacking off. But Alvinston's one of those teams for me that series is going to be interesting to see. I think because Alvinston is probably the most skilled team in the whole league, bar none.
They're much improved from last year as well.
What they have up front, like their skill level with all these junior guys they got and whatnot, and how young they are and how fast they are. Like they're fast.
Yeah,
they are probably for me anyways. Looking at it, I think that they've improved the most. I'd say besides Woodstock.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I know, like I say, I think I've said this before. I think the saddest part of the quarterfinal round is that it's best of fives and not best of sevens. I think that's where everyone's going to get robbed on how good these series are going to be because they're so close in terms of matchups.
Yeah.
And then, obviously for you, I think this playoff year, I think is going to be different for you from last year. I know last year was tough for you, just given the fact that there were a lot of games that you really had to juggle your schedule on to try and make. Is that going to make things easier for you this time around, do you think?
Oh, I can play every game this year. It's 1,000% better. Last year, I think I only got in 3 games or 4 games maybe in that Tilsonburg series. And then I had to sit at home and sit in Quebec and watch from the CBSA college there, which sucked.
Right.
Especially watching Game 7.
Yeah, I say no doubt.
That's left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So I'm just looking forward to it. I love playoff hockey. I love it. So.
Well, there you go. And I say I can't think of a better way to finish. Again, we've been speaking with Dylan Denemy, captain of the Tilbury Bluebirds. They open up their series on, I believe, what is it, Saturday, right? Saturday at Tilbury Memorial Arena, 7:30. Puck drop for Game 1 in their best of 5 quarterfinal matchup against the Woodstock Lakers. Dylan, best of luck. I know we'll talk to you lots throughout the playoffs, so you're welcome to come back on anytime when we do show. And talk to us if you'd like, and we appreciate you doing this. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Once again, I just want to wrap this playoff preview show by saying thank you to all of you for watching and sticking it out all season long as I continue to pump these podcasts out to you guys once every week. It's been an absolute thrill, and I've enjoyed every second of it, and I look forward to this playoff run. 7 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Strap in, get ready. It's going to be great. Thank you to 509 Sports Online for all their hard work and dedication and commitment to this league. Thanks to Trey, to Brian, and to Dylan for coming onto the podcast and joining us. Thanks to VMF Sportswear and Apparel, Canada's trusted sportswear brand, for sponsoring the podcast and sponsoring the Western Ontario Super Hockey League. And to everyone else out there, thank you so much. Be safe out there, guys. It's nasty weather-wise, so just be careful as to where you got to go and get there safely. I am Andrew Rogers, the host, saying thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you guys again next week. Take care. Enjoy the playoffs.